Brett Taylor, another great podcast with Dave Oliver. Got a question for you because as I understand, you're taking listener questions now. And me being a fanboy, here's what I want to know. So it sounded like there was just a lot of, which McKinsey brings to the table, a lot of dancing around different movements with particular cases that kind of always return to normal, which I know is part of the game. My question is, what are your thoughts, or what are some of your guest thoughts or future guest thoughts on if we change the movement strategy with something more from the neuromotor perspective like DNS? Do we think that's going to wildly change the outcomes of a McKinsey approach rather than starting with McKinsey? So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Hello, everybody. We got a wonderful question today from the one and only Beau Beard, one of my favorite interns and just a great chiropractor. He asked a really good question. So his question that he asked today was, after listening to Dave Oliver's podcast, whether or not we'd recommend, a neuromuscular approach for us to be a DNS approach before taking derangement or joint blockage off the table. And of course, this is the argument that just continues to rage on, and there's probably not a perfect answer. My advice would be that is low-hanging fruit. So the beautiful thing about the classification of derangement is that we're going to know quickly. So usually we get a pretty dramatic result within the first 24 or 48 hours. And that makes it just real low-hanging fruit. So I would put MDT, in-range loading strategies, in the same category as manipulation. And I think that, there's so much research now to support finding a directional preference that to not do that, I think might be short-sighting the patient a little bit. Now, could you do it without it? You absolutely could. I do think besides getting there quicker, which is one of the main reasons why you might do it, it also, there are certain cases that I think the mobility of the joint needs to be restored in all three planes of motion, depending on where we are in the body. So I think it actually couples together perfectly. I would also, just advise everybody that, just because a joint is in the derangement classification certainly does not mean that we are not, utilizing DNS principles really quick once they've been centralized or abolished. So I thought Dave Oliver was just amazing in this podcast and really kind of exposed all the amazing miracles that are out there in not only the spine, but the extremity joints when we find the directional preference. And the amount of times that you and I can find a directional preference or a derangement in the extremity joints is high. In the Motion Palpation Institute, we obviously teach joint blockage. So most of the time, joint blockage and derangement can be thought of as the same thing. So getting that off the table, I think, can be a really good idea early on. And then we're always incorporating motor control or neuromuscular reeducation. But I thought Beau asked a wonderful question today, and that's how I'd answer it. Thanks, guys.